Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have one fascinating upload to share with you. A subscriber and fellow researchers interview. Before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch displayed directly under this video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe, click the like button, and please leave a comment. It really does help, and it definitely matters. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's upload, shall we? So, before I made this intro, I obviously did the interview. Now, I'm sitting in my studio, and I'm scanning through some court documents. Claudia Ackley. Now, for those of you familiar with Claudia, she's a researcher and has been in the public eye. Some may not know who she is and say, Jeff, why is she in the public eye? Well, because her and her daughters were hiking in California. And they had a terrifying encounter with a Bigfoot. She decided to sue the state of California. Not for money, not for monetary gain. Nope. For the state of California and the Department of Fish and Wildlife of California to admit that they have knowledge of bipedal cryptids walking around in the state and national parks of California. Now, I'm sure if she could, she would bring it federal, but it cost her a lot of money out of pocket to bring these charges against the state of California, and the case is still ongoing. It's on pause right now due to health reasons Claudia went through and other things. But she reached out to me today with some very interesting news and updates on certain experiences she has had with Dogman, Bigfoot, and other strange things as well. There's a lot of photographic evidence in this upload, and she has a kind of Facebook page that she does a lot of Facebook Live on. So it's Claudia Ackley. You'll be able to find her, send her a friend request, and she'll more than likely accept you. And she's truly a wonderful woman. And I guess that's the end of the intro. Let's get into it. All right, everybody. Today I have a guest who I had interviewed about 1.5 years ago. I had heard her case. She had a legal case, and she had sued the state of California back in March of 2017. Now, she didn't want money. What she wanted was California to admit that these Bigfoot, Dogman, creatures that are in the woods exist. Today I have Claudia Ackley back with us. Claudia, how are you?
I'm good, and thank you for having me on your channel again. I appreciate that.
Oh,
and thank you for listening to my story again.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. It's been a while since we talked, and yeah, I think about you. I reach out sometimes, but you've got a hectic life as well as I do. So I'm glad that we got a chance to finally connect.
Yes, absolutely. I have an update for all of you guys. If you don't mind me just sharing my update.
The mic is yours.
Thank you. So, as you guys all knew, I was in California when my daughters and I had the encounter with the Sasquatch. My daughter behind me filmed the creature 30 feet up on a tree. Two of them ran across my younger daughter, who was 11 years old at the time. And I took this to court because not for 1 cent. I don't want any money. I don't want fame, obviously, because you look like a nut to 90% of the public. But why I'm doing this is to save people's lives and to let them know what's really out in the woods. My passion is to help others. That's all. And what happened was, when people would tell me, have they followed you? I didn't understand their meaning by have they followed me? What do you mean? Like, follow me where? And I didn't understand the meaning of that. But what happened was they started coming to my home, which was about a half a mile from where my daughters and I had the sighting. And they would come every single night. And for some reason, I had the Ring doorbell, which is like a security system. And I would put trail cameras, but they would never go in front of the trail cameras outside the back of my home, which is the woods. But I put the Ring doorbell, half of it on my porch and half of it of the back of my woods with the shed. But for some reason, they didn't acknowledge that as a camera. So they would walk around my house and my back porch every single night. And I saw a lot of scary things happening. It got to the point where we had to move very quickly. I was attacked on Thanksgiving Day of 2019 when I was left alone. My daughters went with my ex-husband for Thanksgiving Day, and my boyfriend went to work. I was alone in my home. We had to cover all the windows because they would come at night and look through our windows. And in the morning of Thanksgiving Day, I opened up like the curtains and like the blankets that we put through the windows. I saw them all surrounding my house. I got attacked, and there was about 3 feet of snow. So I knew they would just stand there and watch me through, like, me inside the house, watching them through the woods. And weather does not affect them. That's one thing I want to tell you guys. They would stand in the snow for hours just watching me. What I finally did is I called my best friend. I said, I have to leave because they're outside my house and I'm scared to death. So what I did is I had to take like 20 steps to go up to my car, and there was 3 of them in front of my car. And what I did is I started shoveling the snow to get out of my house as soon as I could. I started heating my car up, and when I would put reverse in my car wouldn't budge at all, like nothing. So I wasn't able to leave my house that day. Unfortunately, a big alpha male came and confronted me and looked at me, and he used the infrasound, what people call like a zap. Well, I started getting really nauseous, really confused. I walked back into my home, and they were all around my house that night. So 4 days later, after I was vomiting blood, I only had 2% left. They turned off my electricity, my heat. I had nothing. I had no neighbors. I called my brother, and I just told him, I'm dying. Like, please watch the girls. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what's going on. And he told me to hold on. I went to the hospital. I was in the ICU for about a week with a lot of blood loss. But there's more to the story. I just want to just explain that to you.
Can I cut you off really quick on that? And
yeah,
I just wanted to, I really wanted to emphasize on something with what you just shared. Is it may sound strange to some people about you becoming sick from the infrasound. There was a lady in Maryland who had a similar experience. There was a squatch in her backyard, and it was hitting her with the infrasound. And she was so sick at one point that she had went to the hospital. She thought she had cancer because she was just like drained mentally, physically. Yeah. Everything was just, and eventually by geographic change and stuff like that, she started getting better. Well, and she kind of reached out to the entity and played music for it, some Native American drum music. And but yeah, I mean, it's not a rare thing for people to get sick from the infrasound. So
No, the male alpha actually, like, we're about 5 feet from each other as I'm shoveling snow, and I can't explain to you, but he looked at me right in the eyes, and something happened to me at that moment. And I'm telling you my truth. Like, this is my life that's happened. I speak with going through my journey of all this that's happening, but you literally feel so sick and confused, very disoriented.
right.
So I remember laying on the couch, which there was like a living room window where I was laying on the couch, and I saw the Sasquatch going up and down watching me laying on the couch that winter day on Thanksgiving Day 2019. So I actually called 911 on that day, and because they've tried to break into my windows, which you guys have seen some pictures.
Yeah,
of
I still have for those people who haven't, I'm going to put your pictures back up with this upload.
Okay. Yeah, they try to go in through my windows, and I had the Ring camera, and I could see them trying to break into my house.
Yeah.
So I called the police like twice, but she said that I called 911 too much, that they couldn't help me because of the weather. So I kind of just suffered for 4 days, vomiting blood all over the house. When my brother finally called for 911 to come to my house, they came with like a snowplow, the fire truck, the ambulance. And when the paramedics and fire department came in my home, they saw the blood. And they said, "Why did you wait so long?" And I said, "I didn't. I called 4 days ago." But they said I called 911 too much. And the captain was very upset. So they took me to the hospital. I was in the ICU, which I have pictures of that. My mom took pictures of me being in the ICU. So after I got discharged from the hospital, I never came back to that house.
Yeah.
I went with some friends so we could pack just like the things that are important, like baby pictures, left all my furniture behind, and I fled California.
You went
thinking
all the way across country. You don't have to share where you live, but you went like a huge geographical change. You went from one coast to the next.
Yes, just to get away.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, like my life, like my daughters, like I need to protect like our lives.
And unfortunately, they still followed you.
And when people would say that they'll follow you, like after a month of living in this beautiful house that we have now across the country of California, they are now living in my backyard every single night. They come and see me. And I have like Dogman and Cheese, Sasquatch, and they come in in my backyard, and I see them, and I act like I'm not scared of them because I feel that fear feeds them. So I act tough. And I had a situation recently that was pretty traumatic. I got a pit bull, and from a breeder, and it was a beautiful pit bull. His dad was 180 pounds. I trained my pit bull that was 130 pounds, 7 months old, but I got him when he was 7.5 weeks old to sit and shake and, like be a really sweet dog. But one day we came home at 3 a.m. from working, and he completely turned on us. He grabbed my little Boston Terrier that's 33 pounds, and he started shaking him like a leaf. He put 45 stitches. He was almost dead, my little dog. He turned on us, trying to bite us, kill us, and we were fighting for our lives.
Yeah.
And I believe that was not done by my pit bull. I believe something happened. Something was maybe controlled him to do what he did to us.
Right.
And I want to tell the public that these dogmen and these entities do follow you. And I want to protect the public as much as I can.
Right.
I've never come out in public and told what I've been going through. It's really hard because you don't want people to think that you're crazy. But you guys have come on my journey, and I want to make sure that everybody is safe. I've been praying a lot to God. I had to put my pit bull to sleep, which was devastating to me because he was like a son. It was like killing one of my kids.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid that he would turn on like a neighbor's child or my neighbor. But he never had any aggression until the night we got home, which was very strange. But we also got torn up by our pit bull. So that's one of the reasons why I came to Jeff and just told Jeff, like, I've seen the Dogman. I was washing the dishes the other night, about a month ago, and I have a window by my sink, and I was washing the dishes, and a Dogman came up to the window, and this one looked completely wolf, like his canine were like dinosaur teeth, and he smiled at me.
Now,
And
when you mean dinosaur teeth, do you mean like if it kind of smiled or closed its mouth, like the teeth would kind of fit together perfectly?
It's like it smiled, but like it moved its lips up, but his canine were huge. All I could see was like, oh my god, his canines are huge.
Okay.
Like, and I can imagine like us, three of us fighting a pit bull. You know what I mean? Like, that's 130 pounds. I can't imagine like 1,000-pound pit bull that we have to fight against.
Yep.
And it scared me to death. And I told that dog man, I believe he was on two legs. He was like right looking at me with this, showing me his teeth. I told him to leave. Like, in the name of Jesus Christ, I rebuke you. Like, and at that point, I stopped washing the dishes. I walked down my hallway and I collapsed. I had a stroke. So they airlifted me to a hospital in Georgia. I'll say that. And they gave me a drug called TPA, which is a blood thinner. And I was able to recover from my stroke. I just got home from the hospital. But I'm telling you that these things do follow you. They are dangerous. We need to start praying. And the reason I'm coming out and telling people, because if something does happen to me, I want you guys to know that this is real. This isn't real. It's not fiction. It's not something I'm making up. It's reality.
Now, when you say follow, I kind of I want people to understand. Sorry about the siren that just went by, but I want people to understand that what you mean. And you and I have talked about. We've been talking for about an hour previously to this, but you're not. What you saw in California was different than what you are getting followed by. These are what you believe to be kind of an entity, a demonic entity, portal, using portals to travel, in appearing as Dogman or Sasquatch, something that your brain can, brain associates with fear.
Yes, it's like not a good feeling, like you're seeing an angel from heaven.
Right.
This is like when I look at night, I go outside and look at, I just went Facebook Live to show you guys like my yard, like where things are happening. It's not like a good sense that you have. I have fear.
Yeah.
But I don't show them fear.
Everyone can follow you. They can follow you on Facebook. Her name's Claudia Ackley. And she really went on Facebook Live. That's another reason why we're doing an upload, because Claudia is afraid as well of repercussions of bringing this to the public's eye. Not only does she believe that, there are a physical Dogman, a physical Bigfoot, like flesh and blood, but then there are these spiritual or demonic kind of entities that are following and stalking her.
Absolutely. And I promise you, I raised my daughters and they're doing well. Thank God that they're not having any issues, but because I spoke out and went to the government, I feel like they're like trying to get me. And I'm being honest. Like, I feel like they know what I'm trying to tell the public, be aware of what's around your surroundings.
Yeah.
And, I would take a lie detector test. Anybody who wants to put me through one, I'll be happy to do one. I've been in the medical field for almost 17 years, working with doctors and nurses, and this is what's happening. And I'm not afraid for my life because my faith in God is so strong, like 110%. Like, I know God is with me, but I know that I have these challenges that I have to deal with on a nightly basis, especially when I'm by myself at night. They come inside. They don't come inside, but I see them in my backyard at night, and they're like in front of my windows and tapping on my windows and scratching like the walls. And there's so many experiences that I've gone through that I'm just like, when is this going to end? Like, when will it end?
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop talking about my story because it'll, if it saves a life, it's all worth it to me.
There's a picture that you have of one of the attacks, and I think I still have. I have got to go through all of my photos that I have of your accounts. And if I don't have it, I'm gonna message you to if you could send it to me. But there's a picture of you by the shed that you mentioned, and you are levitated. You were clearly off the ground. Now, was that a infrasound attack, do you think, or was that?
Well, what happened? Well, that night, I had some researchers, big researchers. Like, I invited them over, and I had the Ring doorbell, and I went out there because I saw them out there. And I believe there's a portal. People don't believe in portals, but let me tell you, there's something weird that happens out in the woods. And I believe that people disappear with portals. And that's why the search and rescue dogs, when there's people missing, the search and rescue dogs go in circles because that's the last of the scent of the human that was taken away. And what I did is I went to confront them, and I rebuked them in the name of Jesus Christ. And at that point, I started like floating up in the air. And then I felt like something's happening to me. I saw an orb, and that orb came like charging at me around the shed. And then I started running towards my house. And thank God I did, because that portal could have, like, do what it, I don't know, continue to turn off or whatever. And I would have been gone.
Right.
So, but you see my feet floating up in the air. Like, I'm literally floating up in the air, which I can't explain. But I felt the presence of evil. It wasn't like a godly, like, good sense.
Right.
At all.
Right. And you've worked with, like, I'm not name dropping, or anything, but I want to emphasize on things because, and not to me, but because I know you and I've spoken with you multiple times, that I know your story and I know who you are and I know that you're telling the truth about everything that's happened to you. But you've worked with Josh Gates. Josh Gates took you seriously. Like he's
Absolutely.
A world-renowned investigator, explorer. And he went out with you to California to look at the tree that you saw your, Sasquatch in. So it's not just like, for someone hearing your story for the first time, they might be like, wow, this lady's kind of off the wall. But no, you're like, you've really explored and worked with some really high-end investigators.
I have.
So.
And I've tried to get answers for everybody. Like, there's a lot of missing people in the woods. Like Dave Politis is 411. Like, now I understand, like, I can see what can happen to people that disappear.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to come to Jeff's channel and say, like, if something happens to me, like, you understand, like, something's going on here that's not maybe godly. Even though I'm very strong into Christ, I rebuke them in the name of Jesus Christ. There's still, it's like a warfare, a spiritual warfare that I have against them. And I don't think they want me, I think they know about the lawsuit in California. And I believe that they're wanting me to shut up and not say, like, they don't want people to know about them.
Right.
Because they want to be concealed, of course, to hurt others, I believe. I don't believe they're all bad. Let me say that. I believe there's some maybe good, but the ones that I've encountered I feel danger. I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
In any way.
When you had your first encounter, back in 2017, you were just on a hike with your daughters. I mean, did you weren't really into cryptids at that time, were you?
Well, actually, my first encounter was with Barb and Gabby. It was a cloaked video. It was actually September of 2014.
Okay.
Her channel, Barb and Gabby Cloaked Video. And you see me on the camera, you see me looking in the woods, and I see this creature with big black almond eyes. It looked like a chimpanzee, holding with one hand on a stick. As soon as he saw that I was looking at him, he jumped, took 2 bipedal steps, 1 quadrupedal, and then took off into the woods. And that was my first encounter. And that's when I knew, oh my gosh, they are real. That was like my first reality check for me that these creatures are not just like a myth, they're real. So after that, I've been going with like Adam Davies, like all these high end researchers all over the country, like in woods, like walking 10 miles a day looking for structures. And then one day, like for some reason, when I moved to the mountains in California, I would navigate to pick up my daughters from school. I didn't know the area very well because we just moved. It would take me to the end of this trail like 5 times in a row. So I was like, why am I, my car keeps like ending up in this like trail? Like why? So I kept turning around, like figuring my way out to get my daughters. But when my daughters were home with me, I said, do you guys want to go on a hike? You know, and they were excited. They're not used to the woods. They're used to the city, and they were excited. It was like 6:30 at night. And I told them, I said on the way, it was like a 2-minute ride from our house to like this trail. I said, if you see a bear, you don't run from it. If you see like a mountain lion, they jump you from like trees. They're very sneaky. You have to watch your surroundings and never show fear to anything. And if I tell you to hold hands and run to the car, you need to listen to me. And my teenage daughter was almost like mimicking me. She was like laughing at me, like, "Oh, mom, you're so protective," type thing. Oh, that day, like we walked around 6:30 at night, March 27th, and we ran into like an alpha male, 1,000 pounds, 30 feet up on a tree. Two of them ran next to my daughter bipedal and stood below the big one that was on the tree. Well, as I was staring at him, my daughter videotaped behind me twice, and she got the videotape of the creature with, you know, he looked like a man, Neanderthal man, basically, huge. That was, but I was so like amused. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I was just all these thoughts that go through your head when you do have an experience, when you do have an encounter. All these things go through your mind, like, oh my God, their skin is black. Oh my God, they're so big. Oh my God, am I going to die? How am I going to protect my kids? Like all these things go through your head. So my kids, you could hear them saying like, I want to go home now. Like, and then he moved. He actually moved and looked at all three of us. And then I whooped at him because I know they have their own language. And when I did that, he just stared at me and he didn't look very happy at all. And I told my daughter, start walking back to the car. Hold hands, start walking. Don't run. Do not run. And that's when they start walking back to the car. And that's where my story kind of started. So I felt that God put me in this position to help other people. And that's where I stand now, basically. So, yeah.
Yeah. And another really important thing that I'd like to ask. Now, you talk about the entities or whatnot possibly being upset with you filing your lawsuit. What kind of repercussions have been from the government?
Well, a couple times when I lived in California, I was followed like 3 times, and
Okay.
they were government license plates. And like we lived in a small little town, like in like Big Bear, California. Ring doorbell, and one was standing like by his car, and one had like a black jacket on, and I didn't answer it because I was afraid that they were going to threaten my life. Like I didn't answer it, but I have him on camera. And then the second time I was by myself going into my driveway, and then he sped up and stood like his car was like blocking my driveway, and he looked at me with like these evil eyes, like shut your mouth type thing. But I didn't. And what happened was there was snow, and he like tried to flee, and his like wheel started spinning, and he couldn't leave. It was kind of funny, but I'm like, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. I'm not. I'm going to help people. Like that's my goal. And then been followed by people. I've had just weird things on my phone happen. Just you know, like my phone's being tapped or whatever. But I do have someone that's in law enforcement who's helped me, like to make sure there's no tracker on my car, who's helped me because these things are being shushed by the government. The government is well aware of these creatures.
Oh, yeah.
They know about them, and they're keeping it very quiet. I don't know why. Maybe. And then I was thinking lately, I'm like, are the aliens running our government? They don't want us to know. Like, there's all these questions, but not enough answers. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, but with all these sightings, all these missing poor people that go hiking, it's not okay.
No.
I've seen these creatures, and they're mean, and they're not nice. Not all of them.
Right.
Like, they're not attractive. They're not something that you want to, like, hang out with.
It's not like Hollywood where they're, you know, I mean, they're not like, you can see that they're an apex nasty, you know, creature.
Mean.
Yeah.
You can sense mean, evil.
You don't have to mention who the people were or what, but you had shared with me that a very strange kind of incident happened to a couple of your friends that reached out. You know, someone reached out to them looking for you, and it was very strange because you ended up reaching out to the police station and there was nothing.
Yeah. So when I left California, and let me tell you, when we left, it was like I got out of ICU when I was in like a hospital for like 2 weeks after that Thanksgiving Day of 2019. We went to a hotel. Like I couldn't go back to the house. I'm like, no, I'm not going back there. So then what happened was we went back just to pick up like baby pictures of my daughters, just things that were like meaningful, left all the furniture behind, and we got in the car and we took off and drove miles, thousands of miles to get away. So what happened was my friend, who's a celebrity status, he, I can't mention their names, but he called me about 2 months later and he said, Claudia, he's like, there's these two men that came in like a black SUV, and he's like, they look serious. They want to know where you're at. And I said, who are they? Or who did they say they were? He said, they were from the Redlands Police Department, that you're wanted. And I'm like, I've never even been to that city. I've never even had a parking ticket or like any ticket. I've never been to jail. Like I have a clean record. And I said, like, and he goes, it looks serious. And I'm like, okay. So then I hung up with him, called the Redlands Police Department in California, and said, like, my name is Claudia Ackley. Like, is there a problem? Like, and they said no. I gave them my driver's license number, my social security. They said no. Like, you're not wanted for anything. Like, and so that was very strange to me. And I felt like, who are those people that were looking for me? That I became missing. Like, and then a month later, I started having activity here in my house and where I live across the street. You know, it's just
yeah.
To me, it's like they were looking for me.
It's crazy because I met you when you were on your way to where you live now. I had reached out to you, and you were on your voyage to the East Coast. You were fleeing California when you and I first met, and I had heard about. You know, I was actually just looking into legal cases of cryptid involvement and stuff like that, and came upon your name, and I just reached out on Facebook, and you know, once you and I started talking, we had an instant friendship, and you know, it's been a nice friendship. Now you're not only just you're really you're like me. I have a feeling that everything has a connection, whether it may be even like the smallest pocket. And that's why I'm looking into like DUMBs. I'm looking into, you know, paranormal. I'm looking into like, you know, spirit activity and stuff like that. You also, you know, look into stuff like that. You've been to like Salem and other places, Amityville. You feel like there is a very big connection, that there's, you know, an umbrella kind of that has all of these things under it, and there is a connection.
I believe it. I've been to Gettysburg, Lizzie Borden's house. I've been to the Amityville whorehouse. I've been to, I mean, these are all pretty bad demonic homes, which I feel nothing but evil in them. Yeah. Even have some pictures that are really like, oh my God, like that we took that are like, wow, that haven't even posted. But like, I'm all for God. I'm all for like protecting people, to save people's soul. I feel like that's my, the reason why I'm going through this is to save people, to pray for the souls that need to be prayed for. Mm-hmm. And right now with our life, with like the Russian government the nuclear threats, like everything that's going on. Something is happening that's big. And I want to tell you guys, a lot of my friends that are researchers have died or have gotten very sick, just like me. I've had a couple strokes. I've had um, bilateral pulmonary embolisms, which is blood clots to my lungs, since I've been here and across the country. I've been in the ICU many times. Just I feel like they're attacking our physical souls so we don't speak. And I want to speak right now as I'm healthy. Just got out of the hospital because if something happens to me, I want you guys to know that this is really a true thing. It's not make believe. It's they have powers that can make you sick. I believe in my, but with like the prayer of God, I believe that something big is going to happen. I think recent soon, and I'm scared for a lot of people. I've been praying a lot, but and I'm going to continue the court case as soon as I get better and things get calmer. I want to continue the court case because I think that's important. Even if I don't win the court case, which I doubt I will, like people are like, you're not going to win a court case, but I do have a lot of evidence. Let me tell you, I have a lot of pictures, DNA, and especially now. But even if I don't win, it'll be like an eye opening for people to see, like, maybe if she is like speaking the truth, she's trying to help us. So like, let's like pray more, or you know what I mean, just to try to help others.
Yeah.
With the experiences.
Yeah.
Is what my goal is. I don't care about winning or losing. To me, it's a win.
It's a win. You're winning right now by, and I think that's, I said to you the first day I met you when we were talking, and I said, you already won because you're bringing this to the front, you know, like you're in the public eye right now. You brought a court case to the California court systems, and there's no denying it. You know, like it's, if you look up your name in the paper or on the internet, excuse me, it says woman sues California for, you know, to admit God Bigfoot exists.
Yes, absolutely. Because, I mean, can you imagine, like, if, and let me just tell people that are, like, doubting me, if you went with your kids, like, by yourself, and you went on a hike, innocent hike, 6:30 at night, you wanted to just have a good time with your kids, and two of them ran next to my 11-year-old baby girl, and if one of them picked my little girl up and took her away, what am I going to do? Call 911 and say, like, Bigfoot just took my kid? Can you help me? I would be in jail for murder. Yeah. For sure. So I'm trying to tell you guys, like, what if this was your kids and this happened in front of your kids? What would you do? Or what if I was walking back from that trail after we saw these three creatures that are enormous?
Right.
And I saw a family of two kids walking on the trail. What am I going to tell them? Hey, like, don't go in there. There's Bigfoot. They'll say she's crazy. But the truth is, they're out there and they're big and they're like they're ready. It's scary. It's scary to look at them. I'm not saying they're all bad because he didn't do anything aggressive. He didn't look nice. I'm not going to be lying. He looked angry. He didn't look friendly at all. But I'll never forget his face expressions. But seeing my kids so scared and fearful, I want to tell you guys, as a person, as a human being, like, if this was you guys walking with your kids and this happened to you, what would you do? Like, what, you know? And I don't care what people think. If they think I'm crazy, I don't care. I'm not here to, like, prove. I want to tell my experience, my truth, my journey, and of what's going on. And that's what I feel that God is wanting me to do.
Right.
To help others, you know, so.
Absolutely. And you've really, you know, even though you may not get the answer, California may never ever say, hey, we admit these creatures exist. People know. I mean, really, you'd have to live under a rock to not know that these things exist. There's something going on. People just don't randomly go missing, randomly show up torn apart. and there's so much talk. Like, I have a friend who lives out in California. He grew up in upstate New York with me, and he has a medical marijuana farm. And, I was like, hey, I've got this channel. This is what I do. Have you seen anything? And he said, I haven't had a personal experience with anything. He's like, I've caught some footprints of stuff. And he sent me a picture of a footprint. And he goes, another farmer, an older farmer, has had some strange stuff happen. And, it's there. It's in the, I don't know why the government fails to just, or keeps denying that these things exist. And maybe it's because it's one thing to have the flesh and blood ones. But it's how are they going to talk about the ones that can manifest like that,
Yeah. Well, what I strongly believe in the government is whatever the government cannot control, they will not acknowledge. I keep saying that to myself, and that's like always in my mind.
Right.
Whatever the government cannot control, they will not acknowledge. Now they're starting to come out with like unidentified flying objects. Like now, finally, like, okay, they're UFOs. Of course there are. I mean, we live in a universe. Like of course there's other planets out there. Like, I don't know. It's just exactly what you just said. Just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they're trying to cover it up. Probably because they can't control it. The forest industry, the camping, fishing game. I mean, I called fishing game like 5 times when we were living at that other house where there's like demons, and I have pictures of it. And I called fishing game, and I said, "Come here, look at these prints, look at these pictures." Like, I'm not making false accusations. Look at what's happening to our house.
Yeah, no.
And you know what they kept asking me? When are you going to move? I'm like, that's not the answer to the problem.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you guys come out here at night with me as I'm dealing with them surrounding my house at night? And none of them would.
I still have, I just checked while we were talking, and I have a whole, you have a folder on my phone of pictures, and it's labeled Claudia Ackley, and there's 17 pictures of everything that you have sent me so far. You've got the one where there's eyes staring from a window, and I'm looking at one where you
see the one it's in my bathroom. Like, he's really tall with big eyes behind me.
Yep.
That's like an entity. I don't even know what and that one like laughed at me.
And the levitating one, I've got the levitating one. There's a ton.
And you see my better half, they're grabbing his head, like one of them on by the shed. And one of these researchers is hired by a very popular, very rich man who he's on call 365. He's on 24 hours. So if there's any UFO sightings, he'll be flown out to wherever these UFO sightings are. And his name is Alex. And he was there with me that day. Like, he came to my house, and I said, look, like, this is what's happening in my house. They're attacking me, and they're coming to my house. Like, and he came, and he saw it for himself. And he was like, oh my God. Like, and I couldn't, and at that point, financially, I'm a single mom, like, trying to struggle, paying the bills. And I would not bring my daughters at night. I was scared to death to bring my daughters to my house because I was afraid they were going to be hurt. We would go to hotels, like, and spend the night in hotel rooms.
Right.
When I had daughters, because I was like, "There's no way I'm going to take a chance of them being hurt." It's too scary. It was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So this is the biggest reason why we wanted to kind of. Well, I haven't talked to you in a while, but then I wanted to touch bases with you because you are doing these Facebook Lives showing people what's going on. And kind of just to protect you and have documentation, if anything does happen to you, because there's researchers that, you know,
Have
things
died.
are happening, and, just wanted to kind of let people know, hey, just in case anything happens to happen to Claudia Ackley, this is why. So
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff. I
you're welcome.
appreciate that.
You are welcome.
And I
Um,
thank all of you for listening to my story. And I hope you don't think I'm crazy, but this is truly my honesty, my life.
yeah,
And I want to help others. That's my goal. So thank you.
exactly. Do me a favor, don't hang up. I want to talk to you for a few minutes before. But is there anything that you'd like to say before we end the interview?
I just want to say to all of you, just pray a lot to God. Like, please, like, use your prayers because something has happened in the world, I believe, and I just want you guys to be safe. And thank you for taking your time to listen to my story. And for those of you who don't believe me, it's okay. You have the right to your opinion, but believe me, like, these are my true, like, honesty situations that are going on in my life. But thank you, and God bless all of you. Love to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, and it was wonderful talking to you again.
Uh,
So I have known Claudia for about 3 years now, and I have a lot of respect for her. She has a lot of good ideas, theories. She's had a lot of experiences, and I really enjoy talking with people like Claudia, open minded people. I think that the community of cryptozoology is very close minded at times. They don't want to hear multiple theories, they don't want to speculate. It'd be different if we were dealing with, like, crime and punishment or something like that, where we had facts and we had evidence and this and that and so on and so forth, but we don't. We have experiences given to us firsthand or secondhand. We have sometimes physical evidence, whether it be a tuft of hair or a couple prints here and there. I find it funny sometimes when someone's like, I had a Bigfoot or a Dogman in my backyard, and you find one print. That's kind of strange to me. It's like they kind of just bounded from nowhere and went nowhere, right? Well, I think that if we all kind of opened our minds just a little bit and opened our ideas instead of being closed minded, we may get some answers that we're looking for. I don't think we'll get them all. I think only those who have all of the answers are the 1%, or I don't even think there's a 1%. I think it's more like a 0.5% that really controls. If you really honestly think about it, these people who run and know about all of this information control presidents, control governments, and so on. But eventually, someday, we will. With that, I want to thank you all for all your support and being open minded. With that, may the Great Spirit watch over us all, and may He guide us down that path that, well, we call life.